Thank you so much. So good morning, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Leticia Sanchez de León. I work with Fandi, and I'm going to be the moderating this session. Today we have invited Father Jaroslav and Father Paul. They are now both in Mongolia. They are going to explain to us and tell us some facts about the country, and they are going to give some context about the apostolic visit of Pope Francis. They are going to tell us about the church there. So they're both Salesians, and Father Jaroslav is a priest. He's in a parish in the Diocese of Shuvuu. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly or not. Okay. And Father Leung is he's the delegate of the Salesians there in Mongolia. So they are going to talk first, like for 15 minutes or more or less, and then we can maybe have some time to questions. Father Jaroslav said he could understand some Italian, but he doesn't speak Italian. So maybe you could make the questions in English or maybe in Italian, and we can translate them. And that's it. I think we can start. I don't know if Father Jaroslav wants to begin. Is that okay?
No problem.
Okay. Okay.
Because internet connection is still valid, therefore let's go.
Okay, let's go then. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Therefore, should I start to talk about Mongolia?
Yeah.
I have been in Mongolia around since 2015-16 school year. First 2 years I spent in Darkhan, mainly studying Mongolian language, and last 4 or 5 years I am in Shuvuu. It's like periphery of Ulaanbaatar, like small village with still public transport. Coming here from city around 1 hour, 40 kilometers from Don Bosco Center, where is Father Paul just now. And I am really grateful that I can be really here on periphery of really peripheries, like Pope Francis says many times. The target group of church is really the last. There are the last one, and I can say honestly that I am really among the in the Gir district, the poorest of poor people here. They live in Girs, etc. Therefore, this is briefly around about me. I am originally from the Czech Republic, and really for 7 years I have been in Mongolia.
Okay, thank you so much. Please, Father Leung, if you want to start saying some things about your experience there, or how many years have you been working there? Thank you so much.
So, thank you, and good morning again to everybody. I'm Father Paul Leung, a Salesian. I'm in fact from Hong Kong. I've been in Mongolia since 2006 until now. So now I'm the delegate of the Salesian Society in Mongolia. And regarding the situation of the church in Mongolia, I can give you some simple figures. Nowadays in Mongolia, we have only around 1,500 Catholic, registered Catholic local. With the foreigners, how many I don't know, but for the local people baptized here, registered is around 1,500. For serving the Catholic here, we have totally around 77 missionaries. We are coming from 10 different congregations. Among these 10 congregations, different religious congregations, there are only 3 CICM, Consolata, and Salesian were the male congregations. For other 7 are female congregations. And we have also some groups of lay missionaries. So totally nowadays, we have 77 missionaries here. Among these 77, there are 3 lay missionaries. And we have a bishop and 28 priests and 6 religious brothers and others are sisters. In these 77 missionaries, we are very international. We come from 28 different countries. So you can see that the church in Mongolia is quite luxury. Only to serve these 1,500 Catholics, we are 77 missionaries. In many European countries, in Sunday or feast day, you are looking for priests to celebrate Mass. Here, the priests are looking for priests to celebrate Mass. So it's quite different. But anyway, we can see this is a very newborn church. And in fact, the Catholic Church in Mongolia has a very long history, started from 13th century. But of course, in the history, there are lots of changes. And for a long period, there is no more religious nor cleric in Mongolia. And especially in for a long time, even though in 18th century, 19th century, a lot of missionaries sent to China, and even at that time, CICM was entrusted to take care of Mongolia. But at that time, Inner Mongolia and Outer Mongolia still one. So the CICM missionaries have not yet come to Outer Mongolia. That means nowadays the Mongolia country. This is a little bit wonderful. And in 1992, in fact, under the request of the Mongolian government, the new group of missionaries, 3 CICM fathers, were sent to Mongolia and started the church of nowadays. And among them, one is past bishop, Jaroslav, and he already passed away. You are also our first bishop in Mongolia. Yeah, this is a very simple picture of the Catholic Church here. And for us Salesians, we were invited by past bishop Jaroslav to come here to Mongolia to help him to start the educational work for the young people. In 2001, the first group of Salesians arrived in Mongolia. And so we started our apostolate here until nowadays. Now for the Salesians, we already set up 3 communities. One in the capital city, Ulaanbaatar, and another not yet canonical community is in Shuvuu, where Father Jaroslav is working there as a parish priest. And in the north, a city called Dahan, we also have a community there. So nowadays, for us, the Salesians, we are working in 3 different places, and we have only 10 Salesians working here. So this is a general picture for our congregation in Mongolia. So I think this is a very simple introduction. I think it would be good that if you have something you want to know and you want to ask, you ask, and we try our best to answer.
Okay, thank you so much. If you have any questions, just raise your hand or just go for it. If it's in English, and if not, as I said, we can maybe translate.
Yeah, thinking about the questions, I can maybe a little bit introduce how is the country or the life, because if you are in Europe, I'm originally from the Czech Republic, I visited many times Italy, therefore Mongolia is nomadic country. Yeah, is the life of people is quite different than in Europe, because traditional life was connected with 5 kind of animals that were able to eat the grass, the poor grass growing in the desert or steppes. Therefore, it's really very poor country, but even through the poverty, people found the way how to live. Therefore, they lived moving with their gears like tent, their home, and animals around this country, because for eco reasons, we can say, because the grass was not enough for all year for all the animals. Therefore, grass finished, they moved to another place, spring, summer, autumn, winter, different places. And in such life, we can say maybe 50% of the population still live like the nomadic life, and another 50% slowly move to capital Ulaanbaatar. Therefore, from all population around 3.3 million people, around 50% are almost 50% are already in Ulaanbaatar, the big capital. But unfortunately, a little bit ecological problem, because the infrastructure, the city grows faster than the development of the city can be done. Therefore, if you arrive to Mongolia, maybe my first impression was, where are the trees? Because I don't know what is this like steps, unending steps with animals and the gears, like tents, Mongolian tents, homes. Therefore, it's quite different than we can imagine and experience in Europe. Somebody said me, if you would like to know more about Bible, to read the Bible in another way, go to Holy Land. I was there 4 years ago, and I can say it's true. But I can even add, if you would like to know and to understand more Bible, go to Mongolia. You can see just the first reading, we are reading from the Genesis, Abraham, Lot, dividing one on the left, another on the right, because not enough sources for both, for all. Therefore, you can experience the nomadic life that we can read in Bible about directly in Mongolia. It's really beautiful, interesting country, challenging.
Thank you so much. How interesting. We have a question here from Claire. Claire, do you want to make the question? Okay.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for your introduction. So I have actually 2 questions. My first question is, I'm curious to know how people in your communities, faithful but also not faithful Catholics in Mongolia, are preparing or perceiving Pope Francis's visit to the country. And just, I would like to know a little bit about that. And then another question, which might be a little bit stupid, so forgive me. I am curious if in any way Mongolia's geographical closeness to China has any influence in the community, in the faithful of Catholics there, or might have an impact on this trip. Thank you.
If I should start the first question, I will try. It was mainly about the Pope visit, how is really expectation of the people here. And we can see from your different kind of expectation. because we are in shamanist country, Buddhist country. Therefore, people has no idea, the common people, who is Pope, what is Catholic Church, etc. Nothing for majority of population, I can say. Therefore, for many people, is generally they haven't noticed it yet. What is going on and how important is even for all the country this event. But sure, there are missionaries together with Cardinal, and we are really eager to have this experience during our life, such historical event, and to listen Holy Father, the missionary really promoter, and meet him face to face. And among this really are our faithful parishioners or children or people that not yet Catholics but somehow joining our services, social services or religious services. And this is our task somehow to introduce them what is going on. For example, 2 weeks ago we had short outing with our staff from Shuvuu, around 10 people. And I use this occasion a little bit to introduce what is going on. Who is Pope? Because people have no idea who is Pope, who was the first Pope, and who is the last Pope. And something about Pope Francis, some short video from YouTube, etc. Therefore, only briefly, drop by drop, use this occasion to introduce what is Catholic Church, who is Pope, and who is Pope Francis, and for what we can be looking forward to.
Okay, Nicole, do you want to make your question?
Maybe Father Paul can add, and maybe to say about the relationship with China, because Father Paul's expectation, for example, in the city, the school.
Thank you.
Okay, Nicole, just a second.
Okay. Continue with Father Jaroslav. In fact, the visit of the Holy Father for the people here, I mean the people, not only the Catholic, is really a big surprise. Inside the Catholic Church, of course, it's a very big surprise for us. They didn't expect, or the faithful, the Catholic, have never imagined that the Holy Father will choose to visit Mongolia. Have never think of that. So now they are very enthusiastic to prepare to welcome the Holy Father. And of course, that is also the traditional culture of Mongolia. As you know, the nomadic people usually are very welcoming people. So especially the Holy Father, the head of the church, and also the head of the Vatican nation is coming to Mongolia. That is a joyful moment for them. So now the whole church is preparing for that eagerly. And as Father Jaroslav said, this is also a very good opportunity to widen the vision of our Catholic here, because as you know, Mongolia is a completely enclosed country. It's enclosed by Russia and China. And even for the faithful, they do not contact with other churches very much. So for them, they don't really feel the universality of the Catholic Church. And it is now a very good opportunity to widen their eyes so that they can see the whole church, not only the Holy Father as a representative of Jesus Christ on the world to come to visit them. Of course, it's a very joyful moment. We also expect that with Holy Father, there are lots of pilgrims, the faithful from different other countries. They will also come to Mongolia. So they will feel that the Catholic Church is really Catholic. It's for everybody. It's universal church. So I think it is a really positive thing for the church here. And even for the normal Mongolian here, even though they are not faithful, they also surprised. They also do not know who is the Holy Father, but they read from the news that, oh, the Pope, the Holy Father, is coming to Mongolia to visit. And even some non-Catholic, they asked me, why Holy Father is coming? Why, when is he coming? For what purpose? Etc., etc. And that is also a very good opportunity for us to introduce the Catholic Church to them. So that is the immediate consequence that I already feel. Answer to the second question, the Mongolia is close to China. Is there something influenced by them, or etc., etc.? I can say something that maybe you feel stranger. In fact, Mongolia traditionally, according to history, they do not like Chinese. Starting from thousands of years ago, Chinese and Mongolia were enemies. So even nowadays, many Mongolians, they do not like China. Of course, they are neighbors, and economically, Mongolia and China are linked together. Especially Mongolia is quite relying on China. That is true. But for the Mongolian, in fact, many of them do not like Chinese. So, is there anything influenced by China? In the political world, I cannot say anything because I'm not a political person. But for the faith, the Catholic Church, I don't feel that there's any influence from the church in China, because coming from China, they already a little bit dislike it. So I don't think that there is a big influence or restriction from them, etc., etc. I don't know whether I answer your question or not.
Yes, it does. I was curious also if any Chinese faithful were going to be coming maybe to Mongolia, if that's something you were expecting.
Sorry, please again, because some noise here.
Claire, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, of course. I was also wondering if any Chinese faithful, or if you're expecting Chinese Catholics to be coming to Mongolia for the visit.
I think probably there will be some, but I'm not sure because I have no channel to know this now. But I think probably some of them will come because it's quite near. Yeah. And that is also an opportunity for the Chinese faithful to meet with the Holy Father, because for them to go to Italy or to other countries may be more difficult, but coming to Mongolia, I think is easier for them. So for me, probably some of them will come through different channels.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Claire. Nicole, you may make the question.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to ask you about perhaps a message that you expect the Pope to give. And I was wondering if the environmental issue is very present in Mongolia. We know that the extraction industries are very important to the Mongolian economy, and we know that Pope Francis has been very critical of how extraction from poor countries harms the planet, etc., etc. Is that an issue in Mongolia, given the importance that the government has placed on the extraction and export of these natural resources?
Yeah, maybe later Father Jaroslav can also give some idea. Ecology nowadays already become a very hot issue all over the world, even in Mongolia. Mongolia is a very vast country. It's big, very big area, and also there are quite a lot of problem of concerning protecting the earth, because the pollution here is also quite famous. It's also a problem here. Of course, I do not know whether the Holy Father will talk anything about that when he visits Mongolia. But in fact, if we talk about the ecology in Mongolia, it is also a very important issue that may also influence the country here if he raise his voice. And of course, on the other hand, Mongolia, one of the income of the country is on the mining. And you know, mining will cause a lot of ecological problem. Yeah. Finally, will Holy Father say something on that? I'm not sure, because I'm not the guy to follow this issue. Maybe Father Jaroslav may have other insight.
What to say to this question? The message for ecology, maybe social justice. Sure, topics. These topics are important for all the world. Especially for Mongolia, the poor country, that majority of people are really poor, and few are rich. Therefore, social justice, ecology, because ecology connected with the mining and profit of food. Therefore, see what Pope Francis will update here, and we are looking forward for his message, sure. And I think even with all his visits, somebody asked me maybe months ago why Pope Francis choose Mongolia, and I answered maybe, or even cardinal in Mongolia, that we have cardinal, and I said because Good Shepherd looking for the lost, the weakest. Like in our communities or in our parishes, we should be aware of the weakest, who is not there, who is somehow lost, who is really missing something, and to be aware of this, what is going in. And I think this is even Pope Francis' motivation, and to visit the weakest. I consider the church in Mongolia is one of the weakest all around the world. On one side, on the side, God works through the weakest. Therefore, sure, God is working here, and Pope Francis probably would like to see this God's work on the periphery, and be encouraged by himself, for encouragement for himself, and encouragement for all of us.
Okay, thank you so much. Elise, you raised your hand, right? Do you want to make the question?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. I'm Elise Allen with Crux. Thank you for speaking with us today. My question is regarding Russia. In addition to sharing a border with China, Mongolia also shares a border with Russia. I wanted to ask to what extent, if any, the war with Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, has impacted Mongolia. And do you expect this is an issue that the Pope will discuss during his trip? Thank you.
Elise, I'm sorry, the last part of the question, we didn't hear it. Can you repeat the last part of it? Thank you.
Yes, it was, to what extent do you think this might be something the Pope discusses during his visit to Mongolia? Thank you.
Therefore, I can maybe start. The topic is really Russian and Ukraine war, and the closeness of Mongolians to Russian somehow. Like Father Paul mentioned, Mongolian and Chinese are not the best friends. Therefore, there is only another possibility. This is really Russian. And we can say that the last 100 years of history of Mongolians is connected with Russian. Mongolia became second communistic country after Soviet Union. From 1990, democratic revolution. But the connection with Russia is still strong. The war, we can say the war is a little bit distant. At the beginning, more than 1 year ago, I asked some people, what do you think about this war? And it looked like, sure, the Russians are friends. The wish is really, let's be peace. We wish to be peace. But they cannot understand what is going on through media, etc. They are more on the side of Russian. But sure, we cannot say that they are like going against Ukraine. Therefore, their wish, let's be peace in Russia and in Ukraine. And this is somehow, the topic is distant to them, and they have much more other topics, more important for them, how to survive until tomorrow, etc. In this poverty and economic situation. Therefore, the war is somehow distant. And if Pope is going to discuss it, who knows? Who knows? Because he's aware that the relationship, international relationships, but sure, the Pope's message is for peace all around the world. Therefore, the people will understand him.
Thank you, Father Jaroslav. I don't know if Father Paul wants to add something.
In fact, for me, I expect the Holy Father, he will pay attention more in the pastoral, as a pastoral visit, to visit the ship. Because politically, I'm not that kind of person, but I don't think that the Mongolian government will have a big influence towards China nor Russia government. So for me, I feel that the visit to Mongolia is more pastoral than political things. That is my idea, my feeling. I don't know whether I'm correct or not.
Okay, thank you so much. Now I would like to make a question myself, if I may, to both of you. How are in Mongolia the relations with other religious traditions between the Catholic Church and the other religious traditions, and maybe how many people are from other traditions? Thank you so much.
If I can start, for example, like parish priest involved in this small Catholic parish. The Mongolia traditionally was shamanistic country. So therefore, in Europe we can see different crosses, pilgrim places, etc. In Mongolia you can see on the mountains all around the way, a little bit like hills from stones with the blue scarves. It's like shamanistic places where people traditionally were worshipping the gods of the hills and forests and rivers, etc. Last few hundred years, the Mongolia is considered like Buddhist country. Sure, the beginning of Buddhism was not so easy. They were fighting against shamans, etc. But now it's somehow accepted like Buddhist country. We must consider 70 years of communism, where during the time all religions were persecuted. In Europe, Christianity, in Mongolia, Buddhism and shamanism. Therefore, the country was somehow atheist. Therefore, many people are somehow formal Buddhists or shamanists, but majority like practical atheists I see around me. Worshipping for them somehow like money to reach even they have no money in the debt trap. But let's go back to the relationship between Catholics and other religions. from my experience, the relationships are quite good. We are considered a little bit like minority. Father Paul mentioned, not full 1,500 Catholics. Therefore, we are considered like minority, and we know about it, and we would like to be somehow not only promoting Catholic faith, Jesus Christ, but even some full human development. And through this service, social service, we are somehow accepted. Like somebody, the people can understand, helping the poor people, or they have really this school, or supporting really some even in village, etc. Therefore, through this social activity, social service, I feel we are somehow accepted through the service of poor to poor, and therefore we are accepting even with our faith that can be somehow the question for people around us: what is going really? What is the Catholic faith like? Christian faith? Who is Jesus? Who is Mary? Who is Don Bosco? And from this we can start the way forward. And I think many times is going from this experience of acceptance, of help, of support. Therefore, the relationship I consider like quite good. Even I am not fully involved in these relationships, but our Cardinal Giorgio Marengo was involved for even like he was parish priest in Kharkhorim, etc. He was working on this relationship, I think, all his time in mission in Mongolia. The whole Father Paul, maybe you can add something or clarify better.
Yeah. In fact, I agree with Father Jaroslav. So far, the Catholic Church with other religious tradition in Mongolia is quite okay. We never have any conflict, and we also sometimes have the collaboration in social work or in the prayers for the peace, etc., etc. In fact, we are really the minority here. There are only 1,500 Catholics. And even for other religions, they are also minority. The majority is atheists. As Father Jaroslav said, under the influence of communism for so many years, the people, they already influenced by that mentality as an atheist. And moreover, they consider Catholicism is a foreign religion. So they keep a little bit distance from us because there is foreign thing. They are afraid that it will influence their culture. And even for other religion, more or less they have the same problem. For those who have faith, most of them, the majority is Tibetan Buddhism. But they are also minority in the society because usually they follow the communist system. The religion is one thing, and the society, the social life is another thing. Especially, we can see that all the education institutions, they should not involve in any religious activities. That is their policy. So even Buddhism and other religion, the same. So that is the influence of the communism. But for other religion, they're also more or less like a situation. And so in somehow we also have to collaborate together to especially for some special issues, social issues, etc., etc. So far, I do not see that we have any great difficulties with other religions.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know if there are other questions.
Yeah, thinking about question, maybe I will use the time only to introduce, to imagine if I was in Italy, how is the Catholic Mass, etc. What is the parish like? Maybe it could be interesting if you imagine that in Mongolia are a little bit like Catholics waiting for Holy Mass, go only for Holy Mass, like in many parishes, you're the main offer Holy Mass. It's not like fully like in Mongolia, because we must add something before, something after that. Therefore, if you arrive to Shuvuu, for example, small parish, you see some activities before the Mass. Could be doing homework or basketball or something like free time activities for children, and even for adults, that they will not go only for the Mass, handicraft, etc. And after Mass, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday Mass, we have a little bit like feeding program. Because majority, I'm not sure, but many of Mongolians have not 3 times food per day. Yeah, they have usually no lunch. Yeah, sometimes, maybe many yes, but many even no any lunch during the day. Therefore, to give them some soup or something, like sharing what we have and to eat with them. And after that, we have a little bit like oratory. Some activities around classes, Korean language, English language, computers, cycling, or many other. Majority of people in church, if you will count, they are not baptized. The baptized maybe could be 20% of baptized, but after that there are youth, children, even some adults joining these religious services, which is in the middle of other activities, somehow special, like religious. They know what is going on, or slowly really grasping the topic of the faith. But the way to accompany them to be baptized, and after even baptism, some of baptized after that finished, like we graduated, no need to go to school, to accompany them even more for all the way is not so easy. Therefore, the church activities are somehow different than I experience in many places in Europe. That is not only Holy Mass, but many activities, events, and many even after that. For maybe there are some other questions.
Yeah. No, I was thinking that maybe the apostolic visit of Pope Francis is going to be good for the Mongolian economy, right? Because it's going to there's going to be a lot of people from Europe or other countries that's going to come, maybe journalists and so it's going to be good for your country. I have another question. I know Father Paul said he's not going to say anything about from a political view, but as you both explained that the church, the Catholic Church, is a minority there, and they are. I was wondering myself, how does the government feel about the apostolic visit of Pope Francis? I mean, what are they thinking is going to be the visit? Because if the church, the Catholic Church, is a minority, maybe they are not. They are also wondering themselves, why is the Pope coming? The Pope coming. Thank you so much.
And maybe I say something first. Of course, I'm not sure what is in the mind of the president of Mongolia. But in fact, the visit of the Holy Father was initiated by the Mongolian government. When our Bishop Jojo Malengo last year went to, I think if I'm not mistaken, in August. He went to Rome to be, I don't know how to say the proper word, to become the cardinal. In that time, the Mongolian president sent his representatives, and a small group also went to Rome, to Vatican, to see the Holy Father, and they have a private audience. And in that occasion, they present the official letter to invite the Holy Father to come to Mongolia to visit. And after that, the Holy Father will respond, and slowly, and become like this, almost everything fixed. So the initiative was taken by the local government here. Of course, for them, maybe I think maybe they are not really so clear that they invite the Holy Father also as a religious leader, because that is the matter between two countries. He invites the Holy Father mainly because as a leader of the country, like a president of the Vatican country, to come here to visit. So I think what I heard at the beginning, when the group, the commission who prepared for the papal visit in Mongolia, they came here to meet with the representatives here in Mongolia in the government. They are also not so clear how to arrange and what is the purpose. So far as I heard at the beginning, they didn't even know what is mass. When in our side we have to arrange that there should be a place that open to public, that people can gather together, and the Holy Father will offer mass. They didn't even know what is mass. Yeah, so that is something very interesting. But I also heard recently the commission already came to Mongolia again. They have the preparation. They met with the government again to make the last preparation. And now they already understand more, and they're very collaborative, and they are very welcoming. They provide a lot of convenience to help us to arrange the visit of the Holy Father. So I think it is a very big change for the leaders in the government, and this will also have a very positive impact to the people here. I'm quite convinced on that. Maybe Father Jaroslav can add some more things.
Only one thing is going in my mind, that they maybe can consider like Pope Francis like a representative or like garant of dialogue, the peaceful movement, fraternity, not only in Catholic Church but all around the world. Therefore, for them could be the Mongolia can grow in the international like recognition that Mongolia is somehow trustworthy country and could be connected even with economy that was mentioned, because if you have trustworthy partner, your democratic partner, you can move forward in some collaboration. Therefore, this could be to be more recognized in all around the world, like Mongolia, like trustworthy partner for other countries.
Well, yeah, that's a very huge point. Thank you so much. I don't know if you have more questions. I mean, the journalists. And if not, I think we can, just a moment, I switch my camera on. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for your participation. Father Jaroslav and Father Paul, thank you so much for accepting the invitation. Wow, that was a lot of information. I mean, I I'd rather go there myself. I am looking very forward to this visit, this apostolic visit of Pope Francis. And now with all this context, I think we can work in preparation of the visit of the Pope. And thank you so much again. I remind everyone, this meeting was on the record, but if you want to quote our guests, you may contact them before to ask and confirm the quotes. Okay, thank you so much, and have nice holidays.